Shalom and aloha. Eliyah Navi, Elijah the prophet here. Peace be unto you, for the kingdom of heaven has come near unto thee. I wanted to talk about prayer, one of the most important activities in life. In the morning, rising up great while before day, he went out and departed into a solitary place, and there prayed. Mark 1:35. Concerning the morning watch, this is a very important time for us. We shouldn't face the day until we faced him. It is like what we mentioned the other day about airplanes, how that they always take time to refuel. If they were to say that they were just too busy to refuel, that there were too many other things that needed to get done, they would soon find that the planes would not be able to function. But aren't we too busy? There is time for other things. But aren't we too busy? There is time for other things, but no time for this very important deed. In some desertous places there is no vegetation. There man could not live without water. Here man could not live without water. But in other desert areas there are palm trees growing. These trees don't live off the sand. There is an unseen fount that they are drawing from. It is their source of livelihood. If it was taken away, they would dry up. Man is busy with this and that, but if we fail to take time to read and pray, then we are not going to have that which we need to make us his servants we need to be. Prayer is a thing we must do. We must have we don't have a choice or option here. At the start of each day, we shouldn't want to look on the face of others until we have looked upon him. Prayer has a great effect when we do pray fervently. In the early 1900s, a woman left this testimony of how she won her husband to Yeshua. Her husband had forbidden her to speak to him about the matter which she seemed to reverence, and that could relate to what was shared about talking less and saying more. So that was what she had left to do, pray. She said she was going to pray for him for 1 year. And at the end of the year, when nothing happened, she set herself another time. She said she would pray this time for a half of a year. When this period was up, still nothing happened. She resolved that as long as she had her breath, she was going to pray for him. A few days after she decided that, her husband came in and walked past the table he was accustomed to stopping at, and she found him on his knees crying out to Elohim for mercy. So it's true in this jet age, men are really caught up. Without prayer, one is a ship without wind or fuel. Every day we need to take time to pray because there are so many things that would try to destroy our spiritual lives. Every day we jump into the waters of their life. Every day we jump into the waters of this life. We need to face these daily and have power to overcome. But aren't we just too busy? There the victory comes when we fervent in prayer. There the victory comes when we are fervent in prayer. It is here in prayer that Satan is unmasked as the tempter. If you don't have a prayer life, you or I, we aren't going to make it in. It is a must to do this. It is a time when men are after material things, that the preaching of the cross is foolishness to them. It is the same with those that perish concerning prayer. The preaching of the cross stirs men. There is a power in the cross that Elohim, God, hath ordained, and those that are saved see this power. A power to prevail is in prayer. We triumph in prayer. We need to pray, lest our labors be unfruitful or in vain. If we don't pray, we must not even be quickened to the things that are prevailing in our lives. If we don't pray, we may not even be quickened to the things that are prevailing in our lives, things that are not good. That's why we need to be humble. Every true disciple has a prayer life and finds time to read and to pray and to be a witness. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the Elohim of Daniel. For he is the living Elohim, God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. Daniel 6:25 through 27. We can see what a great testimony went throughout the earth because he refused to stop praying. The devil came along and tried to tear up his prayer life. Facing the lions didn't stop him. He was willing to press in and pray. He could have stopped for 30 days, but he didn't. Because of that, he got thrown into the lion's den. What a mighty glorifying decree went forth because someone pressed in and prayed. There are 3 reasons to be considered why people don't pray. 1, proud, won't humble themselves. 2, lack of faith. Some folks might even be surprised if he answered them. They don't believe in prayer. For men do not seek him. It's foolishness to pray. But there is a certain power there, and we must believe that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Hebrews 11:6. That's the prayer that those that diligently seek him. That's the prayer that claims the promises. 3, lazy, not wanting to press in. So may he deal with us about this. If the salvation of Yahweh isn't someone's delight, then prayer isn't a very important thing to him. If the salvation of Yahweh, of the God of Israel, isn't someone's delight, then prayer isn't a very important thing to them. Confess your faults one to another and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. James 5:16. Notice, the effectual, fervent prayers of a righteous man. Just because something is labeled prayer doesn't mean it's going to avail. If you lay your hand on a picture of a fire, there's no heat. Same with the picture of Niagara Falls. You can touch it, but you won't feel the effects of the powerful flow of water. Just to say you're going to pray doesn't mean anything if you don't do it. So, Yahweh rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me. 2 Samuel 22:21. According to my righteousness, many times the channel that's being clogged is because of sin. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of Ha'adam, the Lord. James 1:6-7. So we see that unbelief in prayer doesn't avail. Prayer has to be coupled with something other than just our lips. It's got to be fervent. It's got to make its way through the heavens up to the throne of the Most High. Up to the throne of the Most High. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and Ha'adam shall raise him up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. James 5:15. Prayer of faith. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Elohim, God, must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Hebrews 11:6. Notice, he that cometh must believe. We must learn to pray. Many things are done in the name of prayer today that are not acceptable to Elohim. We hope through searching the scriptures we can know how to pray. There's so much deceit done today in the name of prayer. Sin is a great hindrance to our prayer life. If I regard iniquity in my heart, Adonai will not hear. Psalm 66:18. Maybe we can hope for more of an understanding of what regarding iniquity is. No matter what nationality, race, or creed a person is, if one regards iniquity, their prayer isn't going to be heard. Whether of Israel after the flesh or Gentile. Sometimes it's deception to think, well, he'll hear me anyway. It is possible we can seek Elohim to get this iniquity out of our life, but if we continue to regard it, let it remain, he won't hear us. That's our hope and desire, that our words would reach before the throne of El Shaddai. If we're honest, we can get this sin out of our life. Behold, Yahweh's hand is not shortened that he cannot save, neither his ear heavy that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your Elohim, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. Isaiah 59:1-2. Elohim can use all sorts of vessels, big or little, woman or man, but those vessels must be clean or he won't use them, whether Jew or Greek. Regarding sin clogging up your prayer line, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked way, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Verse 2 Chronicles 7:14. When he turns from his wicked ways, when we do make our petition to him, it's important to be clean. But often our past is just listening. But often our part, is just listening. Though there is a time for making petitions, sometimes in the woods, it's so quiet you can hear birds and leaves rustling in the wind. But in the city, sometimes those same beautiful noises are still there, but we're unaware of them. We will either through prayer get sin out of our life, or sin will get prayer out of our life. We're never pleasing to Yahweh when we're sinning. We need to be honest with Elohim, God, lest even in prayer we be not true. Near the turn of the century, there was a prayer recorded of a soul pertaining to keeping our hearts with all diligence. In the prayer, it said, I can't not keep it myself. Can't I just give it to you and you keep it for me? Then at the end it said, and in spite of myself, save me. Be earnest, be honest in prayer. Remember to pray according to his will. Desire the things Yeshua desires and wants. In a time men are living by bread alone, we should realize that we gather a great strength and power through prayer. Adonai Yahweh hath given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary. He wakeneth morning by morning, he wakeneth my ear to hear as the learned. Isaiah 54. He wakeneth morning by morning. We know the scriptures are inspired because they inspire us. Also, even a greater reason is because it's thus said Yahweh. Romans 3:4. He's willing to let every man be a liar, but he be true. It yet remains that this word is true. It yet remains his word is true. It yet remains that his word is true. There's testimonies all through the scriptures of souls that had prayer answered. One man, the heavens were shut up for 3 full years and 6 months, that it rained not. Jacob wrestled through the night. His prayer was answered concerning his trial. Sometimes prayers are answered immediately. Then sometimes we need to be as David and wait. Elohim could have made the cornfields produce right away, but it seems like he chose for it to take longer. It takes more than a few days. Elohim does not always hasten things. Sneeze, excuse me. Maybe not. And Yabetz called on the Elohim of Israel, saying, "Oh, that thou wouldest bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thy hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me." And Elohim granted him that which he requested. 1 Chronicles 4:10. Yabetz's prayer, pray for a cleansing of our vessel. Yabetz's prayer, pray for a cleansing of our vessels. It doesn't seem orderly that he'd put a clean message in a dirty vessel, and then send it out to try to clean up someone. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Matthew 24:6. Prayer. How important it is, everyone. In a serious prayer. Eliyah Navi signing off. Elijah the prophet. Watching for the Lord. I hope you're watching too.